Hello and welcome to South Asia Today, where we bring you in-depth insights into the key events shaping South Asia. I'm Shivangi Mishra, and are today's top stories. Gujarat's Dharmaj village redefining rural prosperity. Bangladesh bids teary farewell to its first woman prime minister. And basic services failure sparks anger across Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan. Let's begin the show. A large number of Indians have settled abroad, and they continue to contribute back home through remittances and development initiatives. One shining example is Dharmaj, a small village in Gujarat's Anand district. Known as the NRI village, it has transformed into a model of education, sustainability, and rural prosperity through strong overseas support.
Rooftops lined with solar panels, clean roads, and well equipped facilities in education, health, and banking. This small yet remarkably prosperous village is Dharmaj in Gujarat's Anand district. Known as the NRI village, Dharmaj has families in almost every household with members settled abroad, and their contributions have played a major role in the village's growth and prosperity. Among them is Bhupendra Patel, who has lived in London for more than 5 decades, yet continues to contribute generously to the development and welfare of his village.
Since 1971, I'm living in London. So our main object is that we love Dharmaj, we love India. That's why we come here every year. And over there we have association of our GAM. We have raised nearly £500,000 for charities. And our main charity starts with Dharmaj.
Nearly 5,000 people from Dharmaj now live abroad, mostly in the US, Canada, and African nations. Around 2 decades ago, the village launched an innovative initiative to directly connect these overseas residents to local development. Since then, their steady contributions have helped transform Dharmaj into a model of cleanliness, sustainability, and self-reliance. NRIs fund not only private projects but also contribute generously to the local panchayat for social welfare and development, an effort widely appreciated by the Gujarat government. One of the village's biggest attractions is a recreational park spread across nearly 50 bighas, offering swimming pools, boating, and beautifully maintained gardens. Together, these initiatives have turned Dharmaj into a modern, eco-friendly, and truly self-sustaining village, a rare achievement in rural India.
धर्मज का गौचर डेवलपमेंट प्लान है वो आप आगे जाके हर गांव में बढ़ाओ, क्योंकि उससे क्या होता है कि अपने गांव सेल्फ रिलायंस हो जाते हैं, अपने जो रिसोर्सेज है उसका एक अच्छा उपयोग करके अच्छी आमदनी होती है। जैसे हमारे गांव को 40-50 लाख की आमदनी हो जाती है ये बंजर भूमि में से। आज यहाँ 16,000 पेड़ लगे हैं, इसमें से जो फलाव पेड़ है उसके फल आते हैं, उसकी भी हराजी होगी पंचायत में आते हैं।
Dharmaj has placed strong emphasis on quality education. The village is home to both private and government schools, all of which receive generous support from NRIs who remain deeply connected to their roots. The goal is simple yet powerful: to equip young minds with modern, future-ready education that open doors to greater opportunities and successful careers.
यहाँ का एटमॉस्फेयर बहुत अच्छा है। हमारी शाला की फैसिलिटी भी बहुत अच्छी है। यहाँ फिजिक्स लैब, केमिस्ट्री लैब, बायोलॉजी लैब, सभी क्लास में स्मार्ट बोर्ड है। हमारी यहाँ प्राइवेट स्कूल से ज़्यादा फैसिलिटीज़ आई हुई है। हमारे शाला में अभ्यास के साथ साथ और एक्स्ट्रा एक्टिविटीज़ भी कराई जाती है।
गवर्नमेंट के पास से हमको बहुत सारे स्मार्ट बोर्ड मिल रहे हैं। तो जो हमारे पास जो 6 रूम है, 6 क्लासरूम है, वो सभी जगह पर हमको गवर्नमेंट की ओर से स्मार्ट बोर्ड मिले हैं। गवर्नमेंट की और सारी भी योजनाएं हैं जो हर एक समय पर हमको मिलती रहती है। काफ़ी सारे बच्चे 80% से ज़्यादा बच्चे हैं जिनको स्कॉलरशिप मिल रही है।
Dharmaj proves that Gujarat's strength lies not just in its cities, but in its villages where tradition and progress move hand in hand. With global support from its people and visionary planning at home, it has redefined what rural prosperity can look like, not only for Gujarat but for the entire country.
This week, South Asia is marking the passing of one of Bangladesh's most influential political figures. Begum Khalida Zia, the country's first woman prime minister and a two-time head of government, has died in Dhaka at the age of 80. For more than 3 decades, she remained a central force in Bangladesh's politics, leading the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, shaping opposition movements, and defining a long-running rivalry that framed the nation's democratic landscape. Her death brings an end to a significant political chapter and now raises questions about the future leadership of the BNP, the balance of power in Bangladesh, and the implications for regional relations, including Dhaka's ties with India. Bangladesh's first woman prime minister, Khalida Zia, passed away following a long battle with illness. She had been grappling with several serious medical conditions, including advanced liver cirrhosis, diabetes, arthritis, and cardiac ailments. A formidable yet deeply divisive leader, Khalida Zia emerged as a central force in the 1990s, playing a key role in restoring democratic governance after years of military rule. Her enduring rivalry with her principal political adversary came to define Bangladesh's often volatile political landscape.
উনি খুব ভালো মানুষ ছিলেন। উনি যাওয়ার ইন্তেকাল করার জন্য দেশ এবং জাতির জন্য এটা খুব দুঃখজনক। তো উনি দলের পক্ষ থেকে আমরা যেভাবে ওনার সহযোগিতা পেয়েছিলাম, উনি থাকলে হয়তো সামনে নির্বাচনে আরও সুন্দরভাবে পরিচালনা করতে পারতো। আমরা ওনার জন্য দোয়া করব, উনি যেন বেহেশত নসিব হয়।
Even as age and failing health took their toll, Khalida Zia continued to wield political influence until her final days. She had earlier signaled her intention to return to the electoral arena ahead of the first elections, following a mass uprising that altered the country's political course. Her death has now created a leadership void within the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, while supporters remember her as a symbol of perseverance, resolve, and defiance, despite a career marked by controversy and confrontation.
Well, this is unfortunate incidents because there are so many things are controversial report coming out of Bangladesh these days. We don't know it is done in organized syndicates are doing it, or is it done individually, or somebody is trying to create an anti-Indian sentiment among the Bangladeshi people, which will affect definitely the relation between India and Bangladesh. Because of the Bangladesh government is saying till now that these incidents are isolated and nothing to do with the government, and they're trying to localize and capture those who are responsible for this.
Khalida Zia's political legacy also had an impact on Bangladesh's foreign policy, particularly its complex relationship with India. While her tenure saw periods of tension, they also included engagement, dialogue, and regional cooperation. Her meeting with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2015 was one such instance, highlighting mutual recognition despite political differences. Prime Minister Modi, expressing his condolences, said he had hoped her vision and legacy would continue to guide India-Bangladesh relations.
I think certainly she will be remembered as Bangladesh's first lady Prime Minister. I think the BNP, the legacy of the BNP, which was founded by her husband, President Ziaur Rahman, she carried on that legacy. She didn't let the BNP collapse, and she came in first as an ordinary member, then as vice chairman, then she became the head of BNP. And she's carried on the tradition, and now her son has taken over the baton. But in terms of politics, I think the situation has already been factored in, because it is known for a long time that at one point it was thought that she might be well enough to contest the elections, and then she might even become prime minister again. That was being talked about at one time because Tariq Rahman was not being allowed to come back to Dhaka. But I think the moment she fell, the latest bout of illness, the moment she fell ill, it was very clear that she would not be able to do much more. And so I think she has just passed away as a leader, and she will be remembered as a leader.
As Bangladesh looks ahead, Khalida Zia's death encourages reflection on her role in restoring democracy, leading the BNP, and shaping regional politics. Yet her legacy remains disputed. Critics argue her years in power deepened political polarization, weakened institutions, and entrenched confrontational politics. Her leadership, often marked by street movements and prolonged standoffs, disrupted governance and slowed reform. Admired by supporters and questioned by opponents, Begum Khalida Zia leaves a divided legacy, highlighting how Bangladesh's political history blends achievement with enduring controversy. Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
Elephants entertained tourists and residents last week at the annual Chitwan Elephant Festival in Nepal's Sauraha, showing off their football skills on the field. Painted with colorful designs, the elephants took part in a penalty shootout, following cues from their handlers. The 3-day festival includes the elephant football match as well as a beauty contest, and ends on the final day with worship rituals for the animals, organizers said. A dedicated team of handlers, or mahouts, cares for the elephants at a breeding and training center in Sauraha, about 3 kilometers, 2 miles, from Chitwan National Park, which attracts large numbers of domestic and foreign visitors. The center houses dozens of elephants and calves, and is one of Nepal's biggest elephant training facilities. Iraq's newly elected parliament convened this week for its first session, following the November national election, launching a process to form a new government that often takes months. The parliament elected Sunni Muslim lawmaker Haibat al-Halbusi as speaker at its opening session. A parliamentary statement said Halbusi secured 208 out of a total of 283 votes. The speaker plays a key role in maintaining legislative order, mediating disputes, and building consensus in Iraq's sectarian-oriented and often fragmented political system. Under the Iraqi constitution, Parliament must elect a speaker and 2 deputies at its opening session, then choose a new president within 30 days. The president will in turn task the largest parliamentary bloc with forming a government. Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani's bloc won the most seats in the election. The next government will need to navigate the delicate balance between US and Iranian influence, with dozens of Iran-aligned militia groups complicating the picture. Travelers at Taiwan Taoyuan International Airport say they are keeping to their plans, as China's military drills around Taiwan threaten to disrupt international flights. 11 of Taipei's 14 flight routes will be affected by the drills, Taiwan's Civil Aviation Authority said, impacting more than 100,000 passengers and leaving only a northeast corridor to Japan open for commercial flights. Routes to the offshore islands of Kinmen and Matsu near China's coast are blocked. Taiwan's transport ministry said authorities will divert international flights away from dangerous areas or announce alternative routes to ensure air traffic safety. China views Taiwan as its own territory. Taiwan rejects China's claimed sovereignty, maintaining that only its people can decide the island's future.
Moving on. In Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan, frustration among ordinary citizens is steadily intensifying. In Murtazabad, residents say prolonged neglect of basic civic services has left them with little confidence in institutions meant to serve them. What is unfolding in this remote region reflects a larger pattern across POGB. where repeated appeals go unanswered, essential needs remain unmet, and public patience is being stretched to its limits, creating growing tension and simmering unrest among the local population. Your report.
Access to communication has remained a luxury in remote regions like Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan. It is vital for education, work, and daily coordination. When such access fails, for long periods, communities feel isolated and ignored. In POGB's Murtazabad, residents say months of unresolved issues have compelled them to issue a clear ultimatum, sending a strong signal that continued silence or inaction from service providers will no longer be tolerated by the community.
ये मुर्तज़ाबाद के मुकाम पर नौजवानों के साथ अमायदीन के साथ मिलकर हमने एहतिजाजी तौर पे रोड के केज बंद किया है। वजूहात मुख्तलिफ है। सबसे पहले मैं बात करूंगा SCO की कारकर्दगी के ऊपर। पिछले 2 महीनों से यहाँ पे नेटवर्क गायब है। यहाँ पे टावर लगा हुआ है, मुख्तलिफ बहाने करते हैं, कभी कहते हैं डीजल नहीं है, कभी कहते हैं हमारे पास बिजली का लाइन जो है वो स्पेशल नहीं दिया हुआ है। ये हमारे मसाइल नहीं है। SCO एक प्राइवेट तिजारती मरकज है और इससे हमें कोई गरज नहीं है कि क्या होता है क्या नहीं होता है। यहाँ पे मुर्तज़ाबाद में 5000 से ज्यादा यूजर्स है। ये मुख्तलिफ पैकेजेस करवाते हैं, वो एक्सपायर होते हैं, ज़ाया होते हैं। यहाँ पर ऑनलाइन काम करने वाले मुतासिर है, यहाँ पे तलबा मुतासिर है, यहाँ पे मुख्तलिफ जो ऑनलाइन काम करते हैं, तमाम तर चीजें यहाँ पे मफलूज हो चुकी है। हमने बारहा रिक्वेस्ट की, दरखास्त की, कॉल्स की, कोई रद्द अमल नहीं आता है। आज हमने अलामती एहतिजाज किया है। हम 24 घंटे का टाइम देते हैं SCO को अपनी कारकर्दगी बेहतर करे, नेटवर्क बहाल करे। बेसूरत दीगर 24 घंटे बाद अगर हमारे मुतालिबात मनोवन तस्लीम नहीं होते हैं तो यहाँ पर हम धरने की तरफ जाएंगे। हम तब तक यहाँ रोड पर बैठेंगे जब तक हमारे मुतालिबात तस्लीम नहीं होते हैं।
Residents say communication failures are only one part of a wider struggle for basic fairness. Alongside unequal access to essential services, people highlight declining standards in daily necessities, including poor quality food, vegetables, and other essential supplies reaching local markets. While residents stress that their demands are modest, continued neglect has steadily eroded patience. The warning from Murtazabad is unmistakable. Without timely corrective action, frustration will only deepen and public anger will grow further.
हमारा दूसरा जो मसला है वो मसला ये है, यहाँ पे बिजली जो है 24 घंटे में सिर्फ 3 घंटे बिजली दी जाती है और वो भी पिछले 28 घंटों से यहाँ पे बिजली मुकम्मल तौर पे नहीं है। सेंटर में इस वक्त 8 घंटे बिजली है। मैं ये नहीं कहता हूं कि हमें 24 घंटे बिजली दे दे, लेकिन मुनसिफाना तकसीम को यकीनी बनाया जाए। बसूरत दीगर अगले अलाह अमल जो होगा वो शदीद होगा और सख्त होगा। तीसरा मसला जो है, हम 95% आटा इस्तेमाल करते थे, उसको हमने उसकी मियार बेहतर करने के लिए 85% पे हम अभी ला रहे हैं, जिसमें हमारा जो है वो कोटा आटे से कट चुका है। उसके बावजूद बदबूदार आटा, नाकाबिल इस्तेमाल गंदुम, ये रविश तर्क कर दे, वरना इन 3 मसाइल को लेके हम अगले लाहे अमल का जल्द ऐलान करेंगे। 24 घंटे के अंदर अंदर हमारे इन मसाइल को गौर से नहीं सुना गया और इनका हल तलाश नहीं किया गया तो उसके बाद हम धरने की तरफ जाएंगे।
What emerges from Murtazabad is a reflection of deeper unrest across Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan. Citizens say neglect has become routine, accountability remains elusive, and essential services are unreliable. As warnings grow sharper, the responsibility now rests squarely with those in control. Addressing these grievances promptly could erase rising tensions, but continued inaction risks pushing an already strained population towards prolonged confrontation and widespread public frustration that cannot be ignored any longer.
Leh has turned into a winter wonderland, with the season's first snowfall marking the arrival of winter and bringing multiple benefits to the region. The snowfall is expected to revive tourism, provide economic relief, and support agriculture and horticulture, while also offering environmental and health benefits. Meanwhile, several parts of Jammu and Kashmir also received their first snowfall, transforming the meadows into a stunning white landscape. Let's take a look.
Leh has transformed into a breathtaking white wonderland with the season's first spell of snowfall, a development expected to draw more tourists to the region. Thick layers of snow have enveloped the town, turning streets, trees, houses and fences into a picture-perfect winter landscape. Visuals from the region show snow-laden branches and rooftops gleaming under the winter chill. As temperatures dipped, Leh recorded a minimum of -2 degrees Celsius, adding to the crisp, serene atmosphere and marking the true arrival of winter in the region.
विंटर में अच्छा टूरिज़्म हो, यूटी लद्दाख में खासकर हमारे द्रास में लोगों को सर्दियों के खेल में मशहूर हो। यहाँ पे स्नो सिक्की, आइस सिक्की के खेल खेला जाए और अच्छा सपोर्ट है यहाँ पे, तो ये हमारे लोगों के लिए बहुत अच्छा बर्फ़बारी हुआ है। इस साल का पहला बर्फ़बारी, तो हमारे लोगों की उम्मीद है कि और भी अच्छा बर्फ़ हो, जिससे हमारे लोगों के जो खर्चात हैं वो पूरे हो। ज़मीनी खर्चात जैसे खेलने वालों के लिए अच्छा टूरिज़्म का स्कोप मिले।
Meanwhile, the iconic tourist destinations of Gulmarg and Sonmarg in Jammu and Kashmir have witnessed the season's first snowfall, coinciding with the onset of the 40-day harsh winter period, Chillai Kalan. Despite the chill, the fresh snowfall has brought relief and cheer to tourists and locals alike, transforming the landscapes into a stunning white wonderland and reviving winter tourism across the region. The fresh spell has also lifted hopes among hoteliers and tourism stakeholders, particularly in Sonmarg, who anticipate an increase in tourist activity in the days ahead.
21 को मैं गुलमार्ग आया, जहाँ पे मैंने स्नोफॉल, लाइव स्नोफॉल देखा, जो मेरा ड्रीम था और मेरा सपना था। मैं इतनी बर्फ पहली बार अपने लाइफ से देखा, आसमान से गिरते हुए देखा। मैं यहाँ के ऐसा लगता मैं जन्नत पे आ गया। ये मेरा ड्रीम था, वो पूरा हो गया। बाहर वालों के लिए संदेश यही है कि भाई पैसे यहीं रह जाएंगे, आया करो कभी घूमने के लिए। आओ, आके देखो कितनी प्यारी जगह है। ऐसा लगेगा ना कि आपको यहाँ से जाने का मन ही नहीं करेगा। ये बहुत ही प्यारी जगह है और देखने से तो इतनी अच्छी है कि आंख में ये समा गई।
मैं फर्स्ट टाइम ऐसा लाइव स्नोफॉल देख रहा हूँ और बहुत बढ़िया एक्सपीरियंस था हम लोगों का और बहुत मजा आया और बहुत बड़े ग्रुप के साथ में आया था और सब लोगों ने खूब एंजॉय किया, अभी भी कर रहे हैं। और मैं तो कहता हूँ कि सभी लोग जो है एक बार स्नोफॉल लाइफ में जरूर देखें।
Snowfall across Leh and Jammu and Kashmir has ushered in the winter season, adding a magical touch and transforming the region into a mesmerizing winter wonderland. The pristine snow blankets mountain peaks, valleys and high-altitude passes, creating breathtaking landscapes. Ladakh's serene and snow-covered terrains captivate visitors, offering unmatched natural beauty and tranquility. This enchanting scenery makes the region an unforgettable destination for snow lovers, adventure enthusiasts, and those seeking a peaceful winter escape.
As we wrap up today's episode of South Asia Today, we thank you for joining us. We'll return next week at the same time with more insights and updates. This is Shivangi Mishra signing off on behalf of our entire team. Until then, stay safe and goodbye.